Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of All the Mods 7. How are you guys doing today? How's life? If you guys remember last episode, we discovered that quarries are incredibly cool. Therefore, we are going to harness that coolness and combine it with steam locomotives from Little Logistics, which is facing the incorrect way. You might notice that in between the episodes, I have been slightly busy, and I have extended our train network. It's a bit anticlimactic, I know, the trains are not the fastest thing in the world. But here is our brand new tunnel, and yes, we do have some lighting issues, but it will lead to an area which we are going to hold our quarries. And yes, I said quarries because we are going to have two of them. I have done some research and it seems that these quarries are going to have a range of 256 blocks by 256 blocks, and that is a lot of blocks. I personally want to see where it's going to dig through, so I'm placing the markers manually. And by manually I just mean that I'm digging a tunnel for like 200 blocks. With Vein Miner, that's easy. This should be the place of our final marker, and let us see if it works. It does. It's a cube of 200 by 200 blocks. That's not bad. And I'm assuming the only thing I have to do is to place down the quarry? Yeah, just give me my torches back. Thank you. So I have set up one quarry which is going to dig a 200 by 200 block on this side, and we're going to have another one which is going to dig another 200 by 200 blocks on the other side. Okay, I got a few gizmos for a moment, and let us kickstart these guys. Here is your chest. I'm assuming the quarry is going to hollow out this entire area on its own. Yes, it is. We get our torches back. Also, for the moment we are going to void these guys. We're going to get millions of them, and I don't want them to clog up the chests. Okay, so the quarries are set up and you can actually see it on the map. I also dock here a teeny tiny bit so that I can see. Why am I stuck? Yeah, it's doing a lovely job. But now that we are getting resources, it's time to process them. So in the comment section there has been a lot of suggestions that I should use the crushers from occultism, and unfortunately I'm not gonna do that. They might be great, but we have tried them in Enigmatica 6 and they were not the best. They're finicky, and they could crash my world. Imagine this scenario, you're going to drop thousands of ores in front of them so that they're going to crush it, and for some reason, suddenly they stop. And you end up with thousands of entities on the ground, which is not good. The solution, which is going to be much more sustainable, is that we're going to use the mechanical squeezer from Integrated Dynamics. And yes, occultism is going to give you 12 raw ores guaranteed, but here, if we get lucky, we can also get 12. And besides, no items on the ground. I'm extremely lazy to make a manual squeezer and then jump on it in order to get some mineral chunks, so what we're going to do is that we're going to harvest a lot of mineral trees. If we get lucky, we're also going to get all the chunks that we need. It's just that mineral trees are the worst. Just random blocks. Oh yeah, this is much better. I think we have enough mineral that we don't need to harvest it ever again, but I just wanted to show you something. So here is a mechanical squeezer, and I have some lead. We're going to put it inside the squeezer, we get 12 lead. So if we put it inside our purifying factory, how much lead are we going to get? That is 24 from one ore. I mean, even if it gives us the minimum, which is 8, that's still 16 ingots. These 44 are basically just from 2 ores. This is great. Oh, and by the way, I did make a few changes. First off, it's a teeny tiny bit of an overcomplication because we don't need to have the train system, we can just use an ender chest. But essentially this golden chest that you see over here is going to be our input. Everything from across the base is going to come here using trains. And also you might notice that we have 3 functioning trains. They are all going to pick up the ores from our quarry, which I have filters for them over here. It's not just for coal, we had coal in it, but it's for every single ore. Anyways, they are going to travel across the bridge and hopefully deposit everything into the chest. Yes, we are depositing. Perfect. So for those of you who say that I always overcomplicate everything, there you go. Instead of this, you can use an ender chest. And now I think I'm going to have some sort of an ore processing, and we're going to combine Integrated Dynamics with Mechanism. Because I don't think there's anything which can beat this. Absolutely, there's nothing to beat it. You might notice that there has been a teeny tiny bit of a progress, and yes, I was trying to make something super fancy, which is nice to look at. But unfortunately that doesn't really work because I was using attribute filters from Create and also normal filters, but you know, some ores are just not filterable. So for example, raw tin is not a raw ore, according to the filter at least. So I don't know, maybe for the moment we have to use XNet and let us see how we progress. Well, I made something and for the moment it does seem to work. The trains are coming, let us test it. They are delivering the ores, the machines are active, and we're getting the ores on the conveyor belts. That is great. It's just that we ran into a chunk loading problem, so all the trains are like behind each other. But essentially this is nothing super complicated, I'm just using conveyor belts because it looks nice to see the ores coming and being processed. What we have are 2 pulverizers, 1 enrichment chamber, 1 furnace, and 4 of these mechanical squeezers. You know how ore processing works? This is basically the crushing side where we're going to get raw ores and things like redstone, diamonds and emeralds. And this is the part where we take the raw ores and convert them into ingots. It's just that instead of having pipes and putting machines next to each other, we have a fancy conveyor belt. It's just that since we have begun this series, there is something that I wanted to do with scaffoldings and catwalks from Engineer's Decor, which I think this is the opportune moment. We are playing Minecraft and pretending is like half the game, so we need to pretend just a teeny tiny bit more. This bridge that you see over here is for trains. So in theory, I should not walk and run on a bridge which is designed for trains. I just noticed there was a mandrill tree there. It took me a while to find one and there was just one over there. Anyways, back to my stupid idea. I was thinking that maybe we can have a catwalk in order to observe our ore processing, and it would also go in parallel with the bridge for maintenance and extra safety. Also, my dearest Purplic, I'm very sorry. For making the catwalk, I need to be able to fly. I'll put the goggles back, don't you worry. Well, I was thinking of maybe something like this. Catwalks are incredibly cool, it's just that I don't really know how to use them. But we can have a viewing platform where we can see the ores. We can cross the train platform and I don't know, maybe have something over here. But the main part is that we're going to have a hatch, decent ladders, and voila. We need a teeny tiny bit more lights. It's too dark. These are inverted lights from Pneumatic Craft and the only thing that they need is a teeny tiny bit of compressed iron. I didn't have to craft a single one, we just found them in dungeon chests. But I do think they look nice. So this brings us to the other side and that is good, we just need to reinforce it. And I'm guessing something like this is fine, I'm not an engineer. Okay, so as it turns out, it seems that I am an engineer because that looks very safe, in my personal opinion, which is very important. But joking aside, paths are incredibly important because it will make our base feel connected. For example, our path starts from here, which I forgot what this room does. Oh, Arch Nouveau jars. Okay. Anyways, it starts from that door and we have a combination of catwalks and, normal hempcrete and ladders and so on and so forth. And it will lead to our ore processing area, which I'm also going to continue it to our farming area, and it's also very safe because we have guardrails. They're not great because I have step assist from Potentia, so we can just jump down. But in case there's an accident around our base and the insurance people show up, we can inform them that we have taken the safety precautions. However, now that we have our basic infrastructure up and running, meaning that we are generating resources, we are processing those resources, we have an applied energistic system, we have power. What the hell? That is new? Where's the smoke? I don't really know what happened here, maybe if I relog it will be fixed. What I was trying to say is that now that we are secure and we have the basic infrastructure, it's time to optimize everything. Meaning that we need to do a few random improvements around the base and well, you get to see my mistakes. Not just my mistakes, a few bugs as well. Anyways, if you guys remember, a few episodes ago we made this steel factory and I put this arm on forced round robin. Meaning that it is forced to put an item inside this multi-press servo so that we can get steel sheet metals and then put something over here so that we will get blocks of steel. The issue is that that was a very stupid decision because now that this drawer is full, that line has also stopped. So we just put you on round robin and that should fix it. I still love this thing, it's amazing. So that was one mistake that I did and I just wanted to show you. The other one, I think it's a bug. Earlier in the episode I came to our mob farm over here which is making us netherite and I realized there are a ton of pork chops just on the ground. The drawer got full and even though it has a void upgrade, it didn't void everything, so everything got stuck in the dimensional chest. Long story short, I think the void upgrade is not working, and besides, this mob farm does require a few improvements. The first thing that I have discovered is that an absorption hopper from mob grinding utilities has no limit on how fast it can pick up items from the ground, but it does have a limit on how fast it can transfer items to an adjacent inventory. And one thing that you should remember is that this mob farm is incredibly crazy and I'm not even running it at maximum efficiency. So I think we're going to have one more absorption hopper, ouch, and we should be careful not to fall on the grinders. Yeah, maybe we have 3 of them in total. They're cheap. We want to be able to keep up with the collection of the loot so that we can run it at maximum efficiency. With additional dimensional chest, it should be able to pick up everything instantly if we run both of the farms at the same time. Yeah, we seem to be doing good. I want this farm to go as crazy as possible, so just to measure everything, we have 10,000 pieces of iron and we have 1,000 gold ingots. And well, 4,000 diamonds, but I just picked them up from here. Remember those numbers, because they are going to change. Oh, finally! The chimneys are back. I have no idea what went wrong. Anyhow, I have been working on the mob farm and we are doing great. It just took a ton of filtering because, well, this is the rate that we're getting loot. It was so much that I even had to put a vacuumulator down here to take care of it. But on a positive note, I think on average every second we're getting 1 gold ingot and also 1 iron. It's great. However, one thing that I have noticed is that I keep working here and I keep neglecting our magical area. That's not good, is it? Since this mountain is our industrial area and the other one is our magical area, I thought the connection should definitely be a Bifrost bridge. And yes, I do admit, this is not a Bifrost bridge, this is just called garbage. Decorating it, making it look nice and also making it believable is going to take a few episodes because that's, I don't know, like 150 blocks, but I needed to have a bridge. And I thought to myself, even if it's a garbage bridge, let us lay down the blocks. Eventually we are going to have a train which is going to bring us here using those GPS coordinates, and then for the rest we're just going to walk over the bridge and maybe we're going to give ourselves speed so that we can cross it really fast. But on the other side I was also thinking of making a few towers, gateways, I don't know, a few buildings. We are going to need to make a few towers and I thought I make myself a copy and paste gadget because, well, if I want to repeat a pattern, this is the easiest way. How do you place it down? Oh, okay. I haven't used the gadget that much. Oh, you're missing blocks. Ew. And just to clarify, we don't really have a guardian farm or anything. I'm just stealing the prismarine blocks from random buildings. From these huge structures which spawn in the world. I don't know, maybe also some purple fire. It does make it look nice. Aha, so yeah, I've been working a teeny tiny bit. Don't mind the copper. For a second I thought I don't have my tiara. I was going to say don't mind the copper, I'm waiting for it to oxidize. And yes, I do understand that in vanilla this is not how you would oxidize copper, it's very inefficient, but you know, we have time, we're not in a hurry. Also in this mod pack, we can use mechanism too. But I saw it too late, so we're gonna ignore that. Just to clarify a bit, this is not our magical base, this is supposed to be the gateway to our magical base, so it's supposed to be small. And I do admit that I'm garbage at building, so yes, it's also not very magnificent. But I needed to start making a few structures because we need to start with 2 mods, one of them is EvilCraft, the other one is Ars Nouveau. And well, we didn't have any locations for it, and you might notice that my scribing table is on the bridge. I needed to make a spell for lights, and well, I didn't have a place to put down the desk. Today we're just going to work on the general look of the building, the finer details, we're going to leave it for later on. Cause I don't think otherwise this episode is going to be released in the next 200 years. Yeah, something like this should be fine, I think we have enough space for a few gizmos. You know, I was using spruce, and then I was like, why aren't we using mahogany? That's a beautiful plank. Cause this is spruce, we do this all the time. Besides, it looks a teeny tiny bit bloody, I like that. I think the idea of using mahogany was amazing because whenever you're garbage at building like me, it's a nice idea to use beautiful blocks. And in my personal opinion, that is a beautiful block. And don't mind the candles and everything, I went to the Hexorai swamp and, well, I snatched a few candles. But one problem that we have over here is that whenever I want to use my wireless crafting terminal, the consumption of power is too much because the distance is too much. So I was thinking maybe we should start working on a quantum ring and have access to our applied energistic system in our magical area as well. For automations, I am going to try and use magic as much as possible, but you know, I need access to my ME. And when I was searching for quantum ring, I noticed this. It's from FTP Industrial Contraptions. It looks really nice. Especially the carbon armor. It's black and red. It's literally the best combination. Anyhow, let us not get distracted. Next episode we are going to work towards that, but today we need a quantum ring. So we need 16 rings and only 2 chambers. And now we need to make the quantum entangled singularity. We haven't done this in a while, I think it was the matter condenser? Yes. Also, just before I forget, I received a comment that this place is not symmetrical. Cause you know, this part has steel sheet metals and I forgot about this part. It's funny that I already put steel on the lights and not here, cause I didn't change them. But there you go, it is fixed. Actually, let's do a cut. Take number 2. Alright guys, I just received a very weird comment that I made a mistake in the drive room.
Verification complete. Welcome Lord of Darkness.
I was told that this side is not made out of steel. And it is. How dare you presume I would make such a mistake? I never make mistakes. I just forget things. So we need to make a few quantum entangled singularities. I have to fill in this hole. And I was wondering if still we can cheat with water. We are going to set you to singularities. We shall extract water. And I forgot the 64k. It does work. Nice. So it does mention that we have to drop the singularity, 1 ender dust. And for some reason it started to rain, but that's fine. We're going to start an explosion. Like so. And we should get it? No. I didn't know that this guy only works with a redstone signal. but it's okay. We take it. Thank you, thank you. Also, I do understand that this was a teeny tiny bit anticlimactic, but, well, I had some TNT here to destroy the village. I'm sorry that it didn't really work. Ideally, I would like to have a rune for our quantum rings, but the problem is that I don't really think we need that many of them, maybe 2 or 3 maximum. So for the moment, I'm going to put the first one over here, and just in case we decide to make more quantum rings, I'm going to make a dedicated room for it. But you guys already know the drill. We need 8 of these quantum rings, the chamber goes in the center, and therefore we have a multi-block. As I have already mentioned, we are going to try and automate magic using magic, but the problem is that we are going to need resources from our applied energistic system, so maybe we go with 32 channels, meaning that I am going to use a P2P tunnel. So this guy should have power, and this guy should have 32 channels. 1 quantum entangled singularity goes inside you, and you don't seem like you're working. But there is only one way to find out. Let us test it. The quantum ring does require power, so what we're going to do is that we're going to have a quantum entangleporter and 1 energy acceptor. I'm not sure if we need the energy acceptor, but it's incredibly cheap, so I did make 1. We make the second ring over here, the chamber goes in the center, and the singularity goes in. It really doesn't look like you're working. Oh, it does. You can see the particle effects. If that is the case, we can have our cable and our terminals. And it does work. I was going to say let me go and get some facades, but I guess we can just make them here. Yes, very good. And don't you worry, I filled the back as well. The reason that we need to have a magical area is that eventually we want to try and make the Aldermont star, correct? And well, in order to make some of the components, there's a mix of technological stuff and magical stuff. And one of those magic mods is EvilCraft. I have always seen people playing with it, I have never played with it. So I think we're going to start with this one. It looks incredibly cool, and besides, it's called EvilCraft. And I like blood. I see you, jerk. And as I have already mentioned, I've seen people playing with it, but I haven't played with it. I know that the first thing that we have to do is to make a blood extractor. I have already made one and filled it in with blood, but we need more blood. If you take a look, you might notice that each one of them can handle 5 buckets. But if you mix them, well, you can hold more and more. So this is a combination of 5 blood extractors, therefore it can hold 25 buckets. And in order to gather blood, we just have to kill mobs. You see, now it's 15.6, 16.3, and you get the gist. Well, now it's full. But before we proceed any further, I just wanted to mention something. The only item that we need from EvilCraft in order to make the Aldermont star is called the Burning Gemstone, which is just a dark block in a furnace. And basically that's it. So we are done with the part which we need in order to make the Aldermont star, the rest is just going to be for fun. Anyways, in order to do anything in this mod, we're going to need a blood infuser, and that requires a blood infusion core, which you might notice has a weird recipe, but it's okay, if you hold shift, it will tell you what to do. Oh, this thing grew? Okay. Now that we have some blood, we should be able to place it down like so, and before it freezes, we drop the gem. Yes. If you have 5 source blocks, you will get the dark power gem. And if we let the source blocks to stay in the open, they are going to start solidifying. That is great. If we harvest these guys using a flint and steel, we should be able to get some hardened blood shards. Yes, we got 7. Also, this is a really beautiful block. Can we silk touch it? We shall find out. Oh, that's a shame. Oh no, we can. My inventory was full. Can I harvest it by hand? No. And apparently you don't even need to use a flint and steel, you just get the shards. But with the gem that we just got and the shards, we should be able to make the infusion core, so there you go. And we are going to use it in order to make a blood infuser. Like so. Magnificent, isn't it? No. So what does this guy do? I have no idea. No, we can use it in order to convert vanilla Minecraft material into EvilCraft material. For example, you might notice that we have something called an undead sapling, which is going to give us undead wood, which is used in crafting. And how do we get it? Well, apparently we can buy it, but we need to find a dead bush. If I remember, yes, there was a mesa and there are tons of dead bushes. We take some. Is it just me, or these flowers used to look nicer in 1.16? I don't know. Flowers are not very important. We need to have a teeny tiny bit of blood. This is how you fill it in. And in order to convert, we just need 800 millibuckets, so let's get a few. Also, it's turning into nighttime. Let us get more blood. I shouldn't have shift clicked. But we can hold 75 buckets. That is great. In other news, our saplings are ready, so we should be able to plant them. It doesn't look very ominous, and I was expecting some blood. Oh yes, blood is dripping. Oh, that's great. It falls on the ground. Anyhow, since it is nighttime, let me gather some blood. I think the blood looks amazing, it's just incredibly hard to get. Another thing which is relatively hard to get is the dark power gem, at least the first one, because after you made the blood infuser, it's going to be super easy. You just put dark gems inside and you empower them. Very cool. Was that a blood bubble? Yep. I love this thing. We have more blood, that is good. So today we can't really progress that far and get any gizmos, but if you look at the recipe of a blood infuser, you might notice something of interest. So yes, it does convert a few stuff to their EvilCraft equivalent, but sometimes you need an augment. Promise of Tenacity, Promise of Tenacity 2, Promise of Tenacity 3, and I'm guessing you get the gist. So the way that it works is that first we need to make the Promise of Tenacity, then Promise of Tenacity 2, and then use it in order to make the Promise of Tenacity 3. And that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to use our power gems in order to make a ball, like so. And whenever you're mining the dark gems, you're also going to get crushed dark gems, so we're going to use that in order to make a stew. Dusted Bowl of Promises. We need to infuse it with blood, which apparently takes 1 minute. You might notice that we got the Ball of Promises tier 0. That is used in order to make the Promise of Tenacity 1. If we want to make the tier 2, we're going to need the tier 2 ball, which obviously requires a higher tier of Promise of Tenacity. So it's kind of like making the Resonant upgrade kit from Thermal Expansion. You need Indirium, you need Signalum, you need Electrum, you need Invar. Anyways, Promise of Tenacity 1, and we get the ball back because it's expensive. And now if we want to make the tier 2, we just have to put the Promise of Tenacity over here, and we don't have enough blood. Okay, is it gonna be enough? Yes. Well, for Promise of Tenacity Mark 2, it gets really expensive, because you need to craft something called a Gold Promise Acceptor, right? It needs 40 buckets of blood, and apparently it takes 100 seconds. Okay, I'll be right back. Well, I can take my blood. I forgot to silk touch it. And here is Promise of Tenacity Mark 2. That should also help us to make the Promise of Tenacity Mark 3, but we are going to leave that for next episode until we automate blood. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's also a good time to wrap up the episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Till the next one, bye bye.